Welcome back to another tier list video. Last week we did When Should I Pick Ana, and that pretty much was symbolic of who Ana synergizes with the most, not in just her nano boost, but with her kit in general. But the thing is I got a lot of comments saying, well, when should I pick Bap, considering Bap is the strongest support right now. He's much stronger in the meta. So I thought, you know, why not? I'll do a tier list about Bap, because it seems like these videos are something that you guys would like to see, and I'll put my educational opinion behind all of the characters in which tiers I'm putting them in. I'm not just gonna put them in there and say, oh yeah, this is what it is. But yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of scripted videos recently, mostly because I'm working on a video that should be out next week that is very, very intense. It took a lot of time to make, months to make, as well as something that I would make sure to follow my Twitter or my Instagram for, or join the Discord, because I have another big project that's coming soon, and I know you guys are all gonna like that. And no, it's not gonna come out a year or two from now. This isn't Overwatch 2. I'm gonna make sure I actually get this done within reasonable time, so that I can get back to making good quality scripted videos for you guys. But yeah, with that out of the way, what are the rules behind all this? Most characters have characters that they prefer to play with. So for example, if we're looking at Baptiste doesn't like to play against Brawl. He much rather prefers to play in compositions like Brawl or Spam compositions that are kind of grouped up together and standstill based, not super fast paced, and he can take time to really like pump heals into his team as well as damage. Meanwhile, Ana thrives off of compositions that are going to take space quickly in generally far sight lines. So like Monkey and Ball are going to do much better with an Ana than they are with a Baptiste. And hopefully with this meta that we're currently in, if I can teach you guys kind of how Ana wants to play and how Baptiste wants to play, you can kind of distinguish between the two which one you want to be playing in specific situations. So with that out of the way, let's start it all off. Who do I want to start off with? Because I'm not sure if I want to start off with Junk or Hanzo. You know, I'm going to start off with Hanzo. I think Hanzo's a very middle of the pack character for Bap. Because it's not that it's not that Hanzo synergizes with Bap, it's that Hanzo likes the characters that Bap is good with. And those characters we'll get to eventually, but those are mostly your Reinhardts, your Orisas, your Zaryas, your Sigmas. Those are the characters who Bap functions with the best. So the fact that Hanzo kind of synergizes with those characters, it makes it so that synergy is it's very good. Also, Window is just really good for shield damage with Hanzo. If you have Storm Arrow in Window, the shields are going down. Left click damage is pretty crazy too. Immortality as well, if you want to be taking some aggressive sniper angles, if that's something that you're able to do, if the enemy doesn't have an immortality field at the current moment, that is an option. It's not very strong, but it has its uses. I think it just puts Hanzo at a very low B tier, high C tier, and that's kind of where I'm going to keep it. It's kind of the same idea with Junk. I just think Junk's a little bit lower, because Junkrat just isn't as... I mean, you're not really synergizing with Junk very, very well, because their kits don't match well. It's more so the synergies of other characters that really help both of them shine. Because Junk likes to play Spam, and Baptiste can enable that. I just think that, like, if this was Mercy, Junk would be like S tier. No, maybe not S tier, but A tier. I don't think Junk really synergizes with any other character extremely well, but that's just kind of the nature of the character. He's mostly just a very heavy damage dealer and kind of a niche pick. That being said, though, I think Lucio honestly goes S tier, if not like high A tier. I'm gonna put Lucio S tier. The reason why and this is all for Bap, just by the way, this is for Bap, so I should probably put him in front just so you guys realize that. So Lucio, the thing with Bap is that he doesn't have any horizontal mobility. He can be rather slow if his team wants to play Brawl. This can be bridged by the fact that Lucio is the embodiment of speed horizontally. And Baptiste also has good vertical mobility. So by having a Lucio, it enables Bap to play much faster and play with the comp that he wants to play with, which is that fast brawl during the current moment. So I think it should be kind of a given that Lucio's S tier. While and the other thing is that it can enable the Lucio to play kind of a Reddit playstyle as well and look for damage, considering Bap does so much healing. So they both play off of each other fairly well. So let's keep moving on here. McCree. I think McCree is a high A tier, if not low S tier. I'll have to see by the time the video's over. He might be the only S tier DPS. He might be. I'm not 100% sure though. The thing is with McCree is that window with McCree is very, very strong. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put it S tier actually, because I have another hit scan that I'm going to be putting A tier. It's just that with McCree having as much health as he does, it's nice to have a character like Bap that can heal him fairly quickly. Excuse me. Immortality Field kind of just synergizes with all characters, and it's really hard to say like a kit synergizes with a Bap very well. Other than the fact that his window on a high ground flank with a Kree will do it'll make lots of value. Compare that McCree to like a Pharah, there's like little to no synergy. But yeah, it's mostly, we'll go into more reasons why, but there aren't a whole lot of specific reasons because Bap is just inherently a strong character. May I'm gonna put as A tier, if not S tier. I might take this back just a little bit more because I wanted to put more hit scans in S tier or just damage dealers in general in S tier. But the thing with Bap is that he does extremely well with just tanky kits. Because tanky kits need more healing, and the way that they function is very complementary to Bap's playstyle. Because he does so much healing, he keeps them alive to enable them even more, and the regen bursting for engagements is also very strong. Mei is like the DPS that is closest to a tank, so therefore Mei synergizes with Bap extremely well. Especially with the way that her wall works. That Bap can just jump over it if he absolutely needs to. It can be good cover for Bap that he can play around extremely well. Even against, Bap does very well against Mei because he can jump over walls. He can utilize the wall for immortalities. I just think that Bap and Mei, that synergy is also very strong as well. I think Kree and Mei kind of tie on this list. But let's go from there. While Mercy's synergy with Bap is not crazy, it's not bad either. So much so that I'm gonna put it B tier. Low B tier, high C tier. Because here's the thing with Mercy is that recently with the spam comps, you can run a bird, aka you can run an Echo or a Pharah. You can run that and not really have to worry because of Bap's insane healing potential. Sorry for the slap on the mic. You can run that without really worrying about your frontline dying. And that's really, really strong. Also, just because Bap can focus on heals, it allows for Mercy to do more damage. So the two play off of each other. It's not nearly as much as, say, Zen, which I'm going to put in A tier. As well as Brig, which we'll get into actually a little bit later. The thing is, Zen is literally the embodiment of damage, and Bap can cover that up. I almost want to put Zen in S tier, but the way that the current game functions, the synergy is strong. It's not as strong as it was before because it doesn't allow the characters to do it as much as it could in the past. So it's actually affecting the synergy more so than it's just the game being the game. And yeah. It's just that the way Bap's kit now works to be very aggressive doesn't exactly complement Zenyatta's synergy, but still, Bap Zen, fantastic comp, exactly what you should be looking for. Alright, Moira, D tier. Moira and Bap pretty much do the same purpose, except Moira can play much faster and only does healing. Bap can play not as fast, but has Immortality Field and Regen Burst. So they're pretty much the same thing. You're not getting any value out of this. I don't think I need to really say too much more about this. So I just want to keep going here. Orisa, I'm gonna put it with Zen. I think that Orisa functions very well with a Baptiste in Immortality Field. I don't think it's as much as Reinhardt, though. I think that Reinhardt functions so perfectly with the Immortality Field because it allows him to be extremely aggressive and not really worry about it. Meanwhile, with Orisa, it's not like she is going to get more aggressive because of it, but it does work out because of how much healing he does. And the Immortality Field is always a nice touch. I might elaborate more on that when Ryan comes up, but it's not right now. Pharah, D tier, probably the worst in the game. Baptiste does nothing. Actually, that's a lie. I put Pharah top D tier because Immortality Barrage is a real thing that has been utilized in the past. So much so that I think I'm going to put it C tier because it was literally a composition, and it was the reason you picked Bap back in the day before he was really, really busted. So I'm actually gonna keep the Baptiste or the Pharah there. That's like the only reason why. I think it's very high D tier, low C tier, but I want to kind of balance the ranks out. If there's a lot more characters going in C tier, I'll put this in D tier, but for the time being, it just looks better right there. Reaper, I think also synergizes with Bap extremely well because he's a very tanky DPS that likes to push very hard, and Immortality Field could be very nice for Reaper. Is it quite S tier though? I don't think so. I think that Kree doesn't function. No. The idea of Reaper functions well with Baptiste, but it's nowhere near as well as the idea of Moira. And that's why I'm going to say that if it was Moira, I think Reaper would be S tier. Because it's Baptiste, I think that Kree gets more value out of Reaper because Kree still wants to play aggressive and brawl and can utilize that Immortality Field not only for just raw damage, but also for like high noon. And the thing is with Kree is that he can also utilize the amplification matrix very effectively, making it very, very strong, the synergy between the two. The thing is with Reaper is that the Immortality Field speaks for itself, and so does the passive healing. But the window is not very effective because you can kite that out very easily because the damage fall off. Moving on to Ana, she's going to be my first healer in C tier, and probably my only healer in C tier with Bap. I'm going to say it's a little bit better than Pharah. I don't think it's better than Junk. I think that Ana synergizes more with Bap than Bap synergizes with Ana. Because the thing is that Ana's role is to be a Zen with Bap. That's because she's specifically looking for damage. But the thing is that it's not as good with Bap because you're missing out on a lot of utility in terms of just raw damage when you have a Moira or when you have an Ana. It's not terrible. It's not the best that it could be. It's decent in Brawl, but it's not the comp you want to be playing. When you see these three other healers, like you're probably just thinking Bap, to be quite honest. Absolute S tier, Reinhardt. Their kits directly synergize with each other extremely well. If you see a Reinhardt and you don't have a Bap already, I suggest you run a Bap. Because you're running Brawl. Now, if it's very Reddity and we see a Wrecking Ball or a Monkey along with that, things change a little bit. But we'll get into that in the future. Roadhog. I'm going to put Roadhog in C tier. Top C tier, if not low B tier. I'll see when I get there. The reason being is that Roadhog functions okay with Bap, but it's nothing crazy. But it's not that it's like a turn-off pick either. Which is important to note, which is why I think it's high C tier. I don't think I need to go too much more in depth there. Sigma I don't think is quite A tier. He might move up a little bit. I do think Sigma is a very high B tier, low A tier though pick in terms of synergy. The shields are very nice because it can block the Immortality Field, and if you need your Sigma to live so he can get his ults off to finish it, also very strong. Double Bubble also is, not Double Bubble, Double Shield also functions very well with Bap because Bap can focus a lot of damage and doesn't have to heal as much. And now, you might be saying, well, Bap's main focus is healing. Well, it's also damage. It's also immortality field. The more resources you can force out by doing damage, the better, because then when you actually fight and you brawl, you can just right-click your team for free. It just functions very well with just what Bap wants to do in the neutral, which is very good. I was going to put Soldier very high, but I think the way that Soldier functions is he kind of wants to flank very, very hard. And the only real synergy that he has with Bap is the passive left shift healing and window. Making him a low B tier pick, I think, around Mercy and Hanzo, I think. Because here's the thing, Window Visor is very, very strong. It's just as good as Nano Visor. It's just that with Nano Visor, he can be behind them. If they don't have a shield, it's doable. It's very middle of the pack synergy. It's not crazy. It's not awful, though. So, you know, you keep going, whatever. We're getting some really bad synergy here. Sombra, there's no synergy between them. Sombra wants to stay in Cloak, and she wants to find the Zen or another character, and then everyone dives that character. That is the main way Sombra is played right now. Immortality, you don't need because Sombra can get out. She doesn't, her function, like, window with it, not good. Sure, you could say, oh, I can left shift engage, and she can walk in and with the regen burst, and it's doing a lot. Not enough to warrant anything better than another character, in my humble opinion. Symmetra, for that matter. Also, I'm going to put around Hog. While their kits don't directly mesh, the comps that she is good in, Baptiste is also very good in. The thing is, Window, not very good. Immortality Field, decent. Not a whole lot of weird plays you can do with that. In Regen Burst as well, it's eh. The thing is with Symmetra is that his kit functions well with what Symmetra wants to do. Almost that if there isn't a whole lot in B tier, I would put Hog and Sim in B tier. It's just like, when I see a Sim, my first reaction is not to pick Bap. Even though I know Bap is probably the best support to synergize with Sim, it's just that these, like she doesn't have a lot of health, and there's not really another character that synergizes extremely well with Sim. To be honest, I haven't played with a lot of Sim recently either. I mean, Dyslexia is the one Sim I can say that still plays Sim a lot in ladder, so... I mean, while their kits work well together, it's not like they're synergistic either. And I guess that doesn't really make sense, but I feel like the people can vouch that, I mean, that's just kind of how it works when in practice. Torb, kind of under the same boat. The only thing that's better about Torb is that he has a lot more health, and if he wants to get aggressive with his overload and shotgun, the immortality field can allow him to do that if he gets a little bit overzealous. That's why I think he is better than Sim in this situation, and that's about where I'm going to leave it. Tracer, a little bit better than Sombra, still pretty bad. Tracer doesn't need anything from Bap. It's just that simple. You're not getting a lot out of it. Widow, too. You're not getting a lot out of it. I mean, you can right-click her. She does well. I mean, Bap does well with double shield, where Widow might be played. But the thing is that the Widow synergizes extremely well with the Mercy, or maybe even the Zen. A little bit better with the Zen. Not than the Mercy, but in terms of Bap, it's just a little bit better with Zen. It's just that they don't synergize well at all together here. And what you're going to realize is that Baptiste functions well with everything that's not dive. Like, most of these characters down here are dive characters, besides Soldier and Lucio and Zen too, if you really want to consider that a dive character. Like, that's the thing. A lot of these characters that are high mobility, Baptiste doesn't do well with. The only thing that Winston has is a lot of health. Immortality Field doesn't do anything because he can jump out. He has Primal. The Window, he literally can't do anything with. I think it's better than all these other characters because at least you can heal him. At least you can heal him, and it's substantial. That's about it. That's about it. And I don't think I really need to elaborate on that too much. I think it's pretty easy to understand just by in practice as well. Ashe, I think I'm gonna put above the Soldier, but not above. I think she's kind of on the same boat as all of these characters here. Like, the Window is very good for Ashe. She can get a lot of value out of it. It's more so the fact that Ashe is going to be played with a Bap a lot because of the comps that she functions in and just like how they work. And also MOing a Bob just for like if they're focusing it really hard, and you need to just divert attention quick, is decent. It's nothing crazy, but it's not bad. I'd rather play Bap with an Ashe than probably Ana with the Ashe. I'd probably rather it. I mean, if I wasn't better at Ana than I am at Bap, that is to say. Ball, I'm going to honestly maybe put at like the bottom of the bot. Nah, I'm gonna put him with Winston. These characters are all in the same boat. It's just that Ball is even quicker than Winston and doesn't need it. Just nothing. It's the same thing as Winston. I'm not gonna waste your guys' time anymore. Let's keep it going. Zarya, I'm going to put it bottom B tier. Zarya can cleanse antis though, which is very problematic for Baptiste's kit. But besides that, that's really all the synergy there is. Again, it's I think I'll put it above Torb and Soldier. I think I'll put it right here as like they're in the same comp domain. She fits in with Ryan Zarya, which is great. The problem is that there isn't really any direct synergy other than she can cleanse anti-effects, which is more so countering Ana than it is synergizing with Bap. And that's where I'm going to leave that one. Excuse me. Let's move on. We're almost done. Okay, Bastion. Bastion has a lot of synergy that I want to put at A tier. Window, very, very strong. Immortality on a corner can make the Bastion unkillable for 5 seconds, which directly translates to how Bastion works as a character. I would be willing to put this actually in S tier, honestly. I'd be willing to put this in S tier because if you think about it, the synergy is really good. It's just that the practicality of it is not. Every single part of Baptiste's kit functions directly with Bastion. Directly landing heal nades on Bastion. It's super easy. You get more healing out of it. The immortality field on corners. The window to do even more damage and shred shields even faster. All of that kind of goes together. As well as, if Bastion wants to reposition, you can regen burst. He can also heal himself while he's walking. He can pretty much rotate for free at that point, on top of right-click heal nades. So I'm going to take the hot take here and say that Bastion is S tier. I'm going to say it, and I will back that, and I've said it with pretty good fact, I would say. But yeah, I'm going to keep it like that. Brigitte, I think, is kind of in the same domain as Zen, if not a little bit lower. Brig Bap is okay, and it functions with the comps that, like, it can keep flankers off of Baptiste, which is good. I just think that in the metas where Bap is really strong, flankers are not going to really exist much. And Lucio is always better because you can just get away because he has vertical mobility. Baptiste, that is. Excuse me. If you want me to explain that more, just ask in the comments, but I think it'll take a lot longer, or it'd be easier to type out than it is to lecture you guys about it. Diva. Diva. It's really hard. It depends on what context you're playing Diva in. If you're playing Diva in Brawl, I think Diva's honestly low A tier. If you're playing Diva in Dive, I think she's D tier. So it's either A or D tier here. With the way that Diva's been functioning recently, I think it's bottom A tier. I think it's bottom A tier because she can DM and take space extremely effectively. She's a very easy target to hit. Immortality field is really nice if she really wants to commit extremely hard on the back line. Or if she needs to remech. Now remech kills with Immo could be a possibility if the enemy team does not have an Immo or it's reasonable to do so. I think in Brawl it works out. In Dive, absolutely not. Anything with Dive just does not do well for Bap. That being said, Doomfist. In Dive, bottom D tier. In Brawl even, not that great. So much so that I'm going to say it's a little bit better than Pharah, but not much better than Ana and Junk. Not at all better than Ana and Junk. It works because it's Brawl, and you can splash it. immortality field is decent, but the problem is that he engages so quickly that your immortality field, you're gonna have a hard time catching up with that. So I want to put it low C tier. I think honestly Ana does a really good job at synergizing with Doom, so much more than Doomfist here. Echo, probably the worst in the game. There's literally nothing. Pharah at least has Nano Barrage, Echo has nothing, and that leaves me with Genji. Genji's, I want to put bottom C tier because he functions well in double shield pool metas. Besides that, it's not that great. It still has a function at some point. All of these characters literally never pick BAP. Never pick BAP if your composition is looking like dive. Do not do it. It can work if you're good at BAP, just like anything can work in this game. Just don't do it. But if you see characters like this outweighing the characters like this, yeah, sure, go for the BAP. Unless this Lucio is being utilized for dive purposes. But you can kind of gauge that based off of the tank line in the DPS line. So I hope this helped. Now, something I'm going to actually do on top of this so that you don't have to click off and look at my Ana guide, or my Ana when to pick Ana video, which I might put a card up there if I remember. I probably won't. It's pretty recent if you really want to watch it. But let's look at this. Can I minimize this a bit? Let's look at this tier list and how it actually holds up against the other tier list that we made last week. I think that's generally easy to see. You might have to zoom in a little bit or just full screen. To be quite honest with you, these tier lists, they kind of mirror each other almost in a way. I mean, Widow and Junk are still low, but they don't really synergize with any support, quite honestly. But it almost looks flipped in a way. There's a lot of characters that Ana functions well with that BAP just frankly does not. There's a lot of characters that are kind of middle ground for the two. But I think this is very interesting to see. We didn't have an F tier this week, but to be quite honest, these would have all been D and F tier. I did a different tier list in terms of lettering. Not too much would have been different with this tier list here. I mean, D and F tier on this tier list pretty much go hand in hand. I think the only two characters that would have been D tier would have been Pharah and Genji. I didn't even notice that I had an F tier last week. D tier would have been Pharah and Genji. These would have all been C tier. These would have all been F tier. But yeah, I think that wraps up the video. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'd be more than willing to answer those questions. I guess what I want to plug to you guys today from me is my Twitter, my Instagram, joining the Discord, because there are a lot of teasers that are going to be coming out soon, and I can absolutely promise you guys that you are going to enjoy it. I for one, am extremely excited, but I want to make sure that the hype is all... There's a teaser for maybe 1 or 2 days, and then everything just gets launched at once. And it's just going to take a lot of time. That's why scripted videos haven't been coming out recently. And it's taking a lot more time for me to do that. I'm also going back to college soon, so I'm trying to utilize all of my time with my family and friends at home before I go back up and get back to work. But yeah, please do follow and support my other socials. They are in the description. I really appreciate you all for watching this. Tell me what you think about the list. What do you think I could have changed? Could I have done better? Could I have done worse? Whatever, what have you. And yeah, but until next time, I've got a peace out and Paz out. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.